All right, welcome to the Yeshua's King Ministries. This is number 17, sermon number 17. Okay, so we've got, I took some notes today. There was a video I was watching, and I was studying a lot of the hell videos, the basically people going to hell and coming back with their stories as to what it was. So a lot of them are very similar, but there was one, it was talking about the gay millionaire, heavily into the LGBTQ, and he died. And he didn't. Okay, this is there's a reason why gay folks, go to hell, and it has nothing to do with being gay. This is was Sodom and Gomorrah. Believe it or not, it has really nothing to do with it. And I'm going to tell you why. It was this man's testimony when he met Yeshua and what Yeshua told him. I'm going to go by my recollection here. So I remember because I watched the video about 2 weeks ago, and I meant to do a sermon about it. It was the fact, not the fact that he was gay. Okay. Now, if anyone has ever met Yeshua, you'll know that he's all about truth. He is the truth, the way, and the life. Okay, so when he met when he met with this man, he didn't, he wasn't judgmental. In other words, he approached this man in such a way that it was total truth. And he said to him, he says, "Do you see this book here? It's a book of life." And he shows his name is on it. And he said, Yeshua said to this man, I don't remember the man's name, so excuse me for that. But he said, "This right here is your page." It was a book. It had gold light around it. Okay, it was a beautiful book, and he said, "This is your page," and he looked at it, and the page, all of the writing started disappearing from it, and it scared him. It really did scare him. He said, "What happened?" He said, "What you did is I wrote this plan for you. This plan has disappeared because you chose not to follow it. And because you chose not to follow it, you went off in a completely different direction. The plan that I had for you is now gone. You've rejected everything about it. You rejected him, Yeshua himself. The the guy did. He said, so you understand it's not about whether you're gay or not. He said, because the way that you went, being gay, went LGBT and all that, the way you went means you didn't follow the truth. He's the truth. Yeshua is the truth. He didn't follow the truth. He rejected it and decided to make his own plans. And when he did, he involved himself into a lie. That's pretty challenging. In other words, for the basic mind to grasp what he's saying to you. And what he's saying is that if you reject the truth, you're rejecting him. And that's the way it works. You're rejecting Yeshua himself. Now, think about it this way. That means being gay is a lie. I'm going to tell you why. You're like, what? No, there's no way. He was probably born that way. Well, that's all. That's all a lie. He followed this lie. He made himself believe that he was gay, and he wasn't at all. Because when he came back, he says, you got a choice now. You can choose the way that I wrote for you, or you can keep going the way you're going, and you will end up in hell because you're rejecting the truth. And he said, the man came back and he died. He came back, and after he did, he broke up with his partner. He stopped the LGBTQ stuff. He got kicked out of all that, and he started going a different direction. He didn't. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, folks, the man was not gay. Being gay is a lie. That's how it is. It's like trying to make people believe things that are absolutely not true. And everyone knows it's not the truth, but they embrace it just to be accepted. They embrace the lie. Don't do that because you're rejecting Yeshua. You can't approve what they're doing. You cannot make what these people um, in these groups call their truth. It's not truth at all. It's a lie. And you involve yourself in that if you start approving it. And say, well, I'm not going to go against I'm not going to say what you're doing is right or wrong. What I'm going to say is that I know for a fact that it's a lie. And since it's a lie, um, I'm not going to follow that. For instance, okay, this kind of tells you that you're being set up to go to hell. Why is that? How is that being done? And how that's being done is you look at your mainstream media. They lie all the time. I remember a long time ago. I lived in Florida, and I was going to lunch with my at that time girlfriend, and people started they were doing um a story there about voting or something like that. I don't remember what it was, and they asked us a few questions, and then I ended up on TV, but they were asking us questions about voting and all that, and I didn't know anything about it at the time. I didn't really study anything. I was not as I was not the brightest tool in the shed or the sharpest tool in the shed at the time. So what happened was the story that they said they were doing, they weren't doing at all. I watched what they filmed, and then I went to the news and watched it on at 6 o'clock. That's when they had 6 o'clock news every day. I watched it for a while and found out, wow, man, they just use those pictures to do this, this, and this. So I realized that at that time, this was back in the late 80s, I realized, kind of woke up that day as to, wow, that media just lies. Just, I can't believe, just bold-faced lies. That's what they do. So if you involve yourself in those lies, you've involved yourself and believe in those things, you involve yourself in rejecting Yeshua. And then you're going to come back and go, whoa, man, you mean every lie that you believe? Yeah, you're rejecting him. So it always behooves you to search out the truth. I'm not saying that that as long as you are looking for the truth, no matter what, on anything you're told or whatever you're doing, you just keep seeking out the truth, you are in fact looking for Yeshua. If the truth offends you, I have been with a lot of people that said they get mad as they can get when you say the truth. Now, those people, okay, they're rejecting Yeshua big time. And they do it on purpose, because they can't handle it. We tell the truth. I'll tell the truth. And man, do I get attacked. And every lie you can possibly imagine that comes out of their mouth is, I mean, if look me up, you'll see all kinds of lies. I mean, it's unbelievable. I'd be upset and I'd probably just disappear off the internet if any of it was true. And none of it's true. For instance, there was one, I'll give you an example. There was one time this one woman would get on our committee call. We used to have almost a 12-hour committee call. And we'd stay on that committee call all day long. And we would discuss business. It was open to the public. We had a government, so it was open to the public. And this woman would every night she'd get on the call and just drive us up a wall. By the time it was 11 o'clock, she'd get the most obnoxious voice coming out of her because she was drinking wine and getting drunk every single night. And she was saying, "You guys don't do this," and okay, you're chewed out by a drunk, right? So you're on this call, you're not getting paid anything to be there. It's costing you um, uh, everything that you have to even be on that call. And she's over there whining, complaining why we won't uh, make her case go away. And really, what it comes down to is she wanted to go to the grocery store and get her wine. That's what I saw. And so I start going off on her. And I lost it. I admit that. I said, "Look, we will just call the sheriff right now and ask him to put your butt in jail, because you just simply won't quit. You won't shut up." Okay, it was one of those things. You're just like, "Would you just shut up?" And somebody takes that little blip right there. They don't understand what was happening before. That this woman has been doing this for months. And finally, after a while, in order to get her to be quiet, that's what I said to her. And so they take this blip, the real Keith, blah, 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 blah. And it was sensationalized. And uh, that's not the truth. That is not what happened. It was taken out of context. However, that's what people do. And you know why that happened? Because I told the truth on them. The people that did that put that together. They didn't like the fact that I told the truth. So they attacked me for it. And it happens all the time. They don't like Yeshua because Yeshua shines his light on the truth. This world doesn't like truth. It gets offended. The people in it are offended. And this is why when you follow him, you say things, because that's what you do. When you have a set apart spirit in you, you tell the truth. And you say those things, and they all get mad and angry. That's why you're getting attacked. They don't like being exposed to what's really going on. So now you get the idea as to what's really going on. But the guy, going back to the original story, he did change his life. He changed his life and realized that it was all a lie. So when you have people that are acting like they they believe they're men and women, and they're actually not, and more than two sexes, and all this stuff that's been going on, that they've been claiming, those are all lies. And people are trying to get you to believe that lie so that you'll reject Yeshua. That's what it's all about. And when you appease people like that, say, look, I don't believe in that. Sorry. That's a lie. And you can't make me may do that. When you appease those people, you're still rejecting the truth. Don't appease them. Don't do anything. You don't have to do anything. It's best just to look at them and say, I'm sorry, I just don't believe those lies. And those are all lies. Have a good day. It's really that simple, and it's not offensive at all towards anyone. If you don't want to believe in a lie, you don't have to believe in it. If I don't want to believe in a lie about 9/11, that somehow a Warren report was the truth, it's not the truth. You can see the bombs going off all the way down. All that was not a demolition. That was a demolition. That's what it was. They wanted to demo those two buildings under the auspice of, um, first they wanted to get the Patriot Act in so they could violate their restriction on the Constitution, and you could tell that the bombs were going off as the building was falling. You could sit and watch it. Everybody's seen it. These are the same people that took away all your rights, started getting you to where you're being groped in airports every day. It got turned on you. So if you think about it, if 19 people hijacked, which we all know is not true, but if they did, then why was the Patriot Act turned on the very people that it was supposed to protect? And why is it still there? Someone wanted access to something, so they played terror attack. Now, Junior over there, George Bush Jr., passed this lie upon the whole world. He lived in it, still lives in it. He rejected Yeshua because he was rejecting the truth. Now, I'm not saying that if you didn't know the truth about a situation that you're rejecting him. That's not what I'm saying. It's when you find out the truth and you reject the truth. And I've seen it many, many times. I had one lady tell me that people are dying of COVID every day, and they need to get these vaccinations and all this kind of thing. And if you don't, you're just stupid. Okay, reject the truth. We all know what happened. Everybody knows what happened and what the truth was. We knew it then. I knew it then. I knew it was a play for the New World Order. Do I respect any form of treaty with the WHO? No. Not a WHO? No. No, 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 no. The man who runs WHO is up for human rights violations. Actually, war crimes, committing genocide when in his country. So don't listen to a thing they say. Don't listen to a thing they do because it's all a lie. Just letting you know. The only one is the truth, is Yeshua, our Father in heaven, and set apart spirit. Those I'm sorry to say, you can trust them. They will always tell you the truth. The rest, keep questioning. Take a look. Ask him. Ask Yeshua what the truth is. It'll come to you. Now, I was looking at this. I've got another sermon I'm going to be doing. Um, and we talking about the Sermon on the Mount. And when people read it, I think that they're not actually getting the whole thing because it's not really making sense to them. Okay, so and I think a lot of them have a hard time dealing with it. So they think it's a lie, or they think it's it's too impossible for them. So blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. And our Bible it says theirs is the reign of the heavens. Blessed are the poor in spirit. So if you go and look up poor in spirit, this is just a little bit of it. Let's go ahead and search that out. Every time I started searching this, the computer was locking up. Poor in spirit, as used in the Beatitudes, refers to a state of spiritual humility and dependence on God, rather than lack of material wealth or enthusiasm. It signifies a recognition of one's own spiritual inadequacy and a deep awareness of one's need for God's grace and mercy. Okay. Um, so poor in spirit has nothing to do with what people thought. It does not refer to someone who is financially poor. It describes a person who acknowledges their spiritual bankruptcy and recognizes their dependence on God for everything. It implies a humble attitude, recognizing one's own limitations and need for God's help in all aspects of life. So if you think about it, um, now that makes a whole lot more sense. For theirs is the kingdom, the reign of the heavens. And guess what? If you go through all of it, a lot of it, if not all of it, applies to, you can see it applying to the narrow way. And people go on the Sermon on the Mount, well, boy, they cannot deal with that because they start thinking, I that's impossible. I can't do this. I keep going on this this Bible Gateway. Man, that's a horrible website. It starts sticking my I mean everything just starts sticking on my computer. So watch that. Um watch that there. Then you have a Bible Project. Okay, maybe they're better. Okay. And of course, that one's not going to have it. They're going to put their opinion in there as to what happened. But it's funny that they don't understand the narrow way because they have not been on it. So if you don't understand the narrow way, it's because you've never been there. If you don't see this, okay, as it how it pertains to the narrow way, then you're not on the narrow way. Because if you, I mean, so let's go to here. I can do this. Okay, so we used to. I just went and found it. Um, Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Now, I don't know if this is coincidence or not, but this does look, in fact, like what you need to do or what you are taught going down the narrow way by Yeshua himself. This is what I was taught, but I went through it. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called the children of God. Now, think about that. Blessed are the peacemakers. What are you doing? You are going to the Father through Yeshua, looking for him to make peace with him. Because believe it or not, you're at war with him and you're there to make peace. And well, they'll be called the children of God. Once you make peace with him, you become one of his children again. Blessed are they which are persecuted for the righteousness' sake, for theirs is the reign of the heavens. No, persecuted for righteousness' sake. You're telling the truth. especially if you have the set apart spirit in you. Man, that truth just comes out. Blessed are ye when men shall revile you and persecute you, and shall say all manner of evil against you falsely for my sake. That's what's been happening to me since I turned to him. It was before, yeah, there were some before that because I would be witnessing against them for doing the wrong thing, trying to rip people off, trying to steal things. Yeah, they did all kinds of things. Okay. It says, rejoice and be exceedingly glad, for great is your reward in heaven. For so persecuted they the prophets which were before you. Okay, blessed are the merciful, and for they shall obtain mercy. These are all things that you hit when you're on the narrow way. And it starts making sense. Ye are the salt of the earth, but if the salt has lost its savor, wherewith shall it be salted? It is thenceforth good for nothing, but to be cast out and to be trodden under foot of men. Okay? So if you're not going to talk, in other words, if you start resisting that truth that comes out of you and you start not telling it, yeah, there's a problem. It's going to lose its salt. You are the light of the world. You'll be lit. Now, when you're going down the narrow way and you have Yeshua in you, you become the light of the world. A city is that is set on a hill cannot be hid. Neither do men light a candle and put it under a bushel, but on a candlestick, and it giveth light unto all that are in the house. So you got to. That's what happens when you're on the narrow way. His attitude towards the law. Here's Yeshua's attitude. His think not that I'm come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach the men to do so, he shall be called the least in the heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, and the same shall be called great in the reign of the heavens. For I say unto you, that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. Now that's going to put like a I'll go through this a little bit more in the next sermon, but that's going to put a little pressure on you. Think about it when I said that. So when I'm reading this, it says that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven. Think about that. So you need to stop believing the lies and start believing the truth. And you know what it is. You know what these people are doing. Just a little while ago, they all tried to kill you. We brought up the Guidestones, Georgia Guidestones. They ended up blowing them up just a couple of months later. That was the World Social Compact. That's what that was. And they're still following it. They're still trying to get it done. They're still trying to reduce the population. So this is the way it is. So truth, number one thing. It's the number one thing. Don't believe anything's changed. They're still trying to get their New World Order done. And one of these days, when I get it all together, I'm going to show you how the reign of the heavens is in heaven and it's on earth. And that country that's here expanded all over the world, and it is the spiritual side of this world, which is not hard to find. Um, the spiritual side. You have a dead side and you have a living side on this earth, and it was done by Yeshua himself. So it started out as a place, in other words, as a northeast Israel, and it became a part of everything. So you can become a citizen. Yeshua is your king. And I'll go through this again. I announced it years and years ago. It was when I was 2012 when it was rediscovered. And of course, you had your liars come in and start saying it was oh, that's your interpretation. And you had your liars attacking and all that. That's what they do. Not realizing that the reign of the heavens was in fact the real New World Order. It's the real one, while everybody else believes or looks at this other one. Um, it's the real New World Order. And that's where everybody's headed that want to follow Yeshua. I'm not in charge of it. Yeshua is. So it's there. We'll teach you about it and show it to you. And I'll show you what is required to have a territory and to have a population and all these things. And it was all done in Matthew. So I'll go into a greater detail. But right now, I'm going to be looking at the Sermon on the Mount and how it applies and how it's similar to the reign of the heavens. I'm sorry, to the narrow way when you're going down, because we've been through all this with Yeshua. It's amazing. So, anyway, thanks for listening to the 17th sermon, and we'll see you next time.